Seconds that must have felt like minutes. People sought safety on the streets of Mexico on Thursday night to escape a powerful earthquake that knocked out homes as well as electricity.
It was horrible. I never felt something so ugly in my life. It was small at first, but then it started shaking a lot. And it was crazy how we started to go down the stairs. Once we were going down the stairs, it shook even stronger, and it felt like we were getting rung, and that was terrible.
The magnitude 8.2 earthquake is the country's biggest since one hit Mexico City in 1985, killing close to 10,000 people.
Unfortunately, we have already received reports of loss of human life and of material damage that we cannot quantify. We will do that in the coming hours and days to learn what damage the earthquake has caused.
The epicenter was around 100 kilometers off the coastal town of Tonala, at a depth of 70 kilometers. But the shocks were felt 1,000 kilometers away in Mexico City, as well as neighboring Guatemala. Some areas along the coast have been evacuated after experts warned of 3-meter tsunamis from the coast of Mexico all the way south to Costa Rica. While no major damage has been reported in the capital, some buildings in the country's south, as well as in Guatemala, have been hit. Mexico is Latin America's second largest economy and home to cement producer Cemex, as well as state oil company Pemex. Operations at the Salina cruise refinery have been temporarily suspended. The Mexican peso has also been impacted, erasing gains and slipping against the dollar. While the extent of the impact still has to be assessed, many hope the worst is over. Adefemi Akinsanya, TRT World.
Now, Alasdair Baverstock is in Mexico with more.
Well, the Mexican president has already announced that this is the most severe earthquake that the country has seen in 100 years. Now, this earthquake has occurred in the south of the country, in the southernmost state called Chiapas, and with Guatemala. And we have seen that already holiday resorts such as Puerto Madero, which is very popular with American and Canadian tourists, have already been evacuated for fear of aftershocks and tsunamis. We have already seen an aftershock of 6.1 magnitude, and we are expecting more, and tsunamis of up to 1 meter in height. So at this point, because it's happened at night, we are still waiting to see the full effects of this. 8.4 magnitude earthquake and a very serious natural disaster, and Mexico's strongest earthquake in a century.
Let's go to our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, now, who joins me from Paris. Craig, great to have you with us. Tell us a little bit more about the economy of the region that's been hit by this earthquake.
Tortillas, cement, and oil. Most of Mexico's corn is milled there and turned into tortillas, which is a staple. Cement is a very big industry. And of course, the Pemex installations, which are refineries. You also have a lot of local agriculture. It's a peasant economy mostly down in that region, subsistence farming, some big farms. This is going to hurt. It's going to hurt them very, very hard.
Indeed. Tell us a little bit about Mexico's relationship with earthquakes. It's no stranger to earthquakes, firstly, but how has it been preparing financially for such events?
Well, you know, one of the oddities of capitalism is there comes a point when maybe you should not try to monetize everything you possibly can. Back when Hurricane Andrew hit Florida 12 years ago, or 25 years ago, the markets came up with something called catastrophe bonds, and Mexico started selling them. What is a catastrophe bond, you may well ask? You want to hedge against a hurricane? You want to bet on an earthquake? Well, you go to catastrophe bonds. And a few weeks ago, Mexico issued about $360 million worth of catastrophe bonds for earthquakes. So anyone who bought into these bonds is going to lose money. What these bonds do is they transfer the risks of a natural disaster from a country to a capital market, and the World Bank really likes these. But if you think about what I just said for a moment as $360 million, that is nothing That is nothing. If you think of if you look at the global market as a giant casino, catastrophe bonds are the nickel slot machines. If you're going to create a catastrophe bond, it really has to be in the billions of dollars.
Yeah,
but seeming to bet for or against natural disasters.
Yes, it's very distasteful. I agree with you, Craig, completely. Also, the government is unveiling its 2018 budget. They had been expected to cut spending to reduce their deficit down to about 2.5% of GDP. Could this earthquake put that plan into jeopardy, do you think?
Given what's going on globally right now with climate, whether you want to call it climate change, earthquake, hurricanes, I think all bets are off the table. I think all algorithms are off the table. I think all percentages of GDP, percentages of cutting budgets are all off the table. The velocity of these disasters that have been appearing over the past year apparently are going to be growing according to the forecasters. And I don't know how you can cut budgets or balance tax rates or even rationally deal with markets in a situation like this.
Right.
So I think if the Mexican government says they know what they're doing now, I think they're just saying that to try and assuage the markets. How can you know?